Merab Dvalishvili lost the fight to Petr Yan because of hubris. That's just a fact. I mean, if you think about it, 4 fights, 4 title fights in 1 year basically means you're in training camp all year long. The human body, no matter how much of the machine you are, can't sustain that. And that's exactly why he lost. Now, I'm not trying to take away from what Petr Yan did, because Petr Yan did come in and have an absolutely perfect game plan for Merab Dvalishvili. That said, this whole perfect storm of Petr Yan basically shutting out Merab, except for the first round that I had on my scorecard, I think it was okay. So, yeah, Petr Yan, incredible for what he did, but also, this is partially to blame on Merab. Now, to be fair, any fight's always to blame on you. It's all about mistakes you made and not picking up the right reads, sure. But this was one of those fights where you're like, okay, Merab, you might have extended yourself a little bit too much. Before we get into this episode, like and subscribe. In the description, I've got Discord, Substack, and the boxing channel. Get at it. I mean, you watched the fight in the second round. So, like, the first round, I had him winning, okay? I had him pretty clearly winning, actually. You watch the second round, though, and he's uncharacteristically tired. He looked like round 4 Merab, which is still very dangerous. But, like, in round 2, when Petr Yan is getting up and getting going, that's a little bit different of a story. Again, like I said, this is like 4 weight cuts in a year. We saw this with Rener de Ridder literally right before he fought Brendan Allen, where he went on and fought 4 fights in a calendar year, right? And he took Brendan Allen on short notice, somebody he maybe should have beaten in a lot of people's eyes, and he got throttled and quit on the stool. Now, granted, Merab didn't quit on the stool. Merab probably never will quit on the stool. But I was telling my friends as I'm watching this fight, I'm like, oh man, Merab's cooked, guys. This is round 2. I'm like, Merab's cooked. Look at him. He's getting tired, and Petr Yan is stuffing every single one of his takedowns. It was really, 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 like, sad to see, because, like, this was pretty much the fighter of the year, Merab Dvalishvili. Now it's going to be Islam Makhachev for stepping up and beating Renato Moicano and Jack Della Maddalena, which is a good win. And we're going to talk about Jack Della in a minute with what Petr Yan did. But anyways, you know, he really should have learned from Rener de Ridder, because, like, dude, you cut weight 4 times in a year, dude. That is a lot of training time, cutting weight and everything. You remember, like, Tony Ferguson 2 weeks before the Justin Gaethje fight, he was cutting weight, making weight, and then he cut weight again. Like, come on, man. Like, it's very clear and very common knowledge that if you cut too much weight, like, that's not going to be good for you. It's just not a thing that you should really be trying to do. Like, even like Kevin Holland, when he had like the famous 5 fights in however long, it was crazy, because he's doing it at like 185, and you know, he can easily make 170. So it's not quite the same thing, Kevin Holland doing it where he doesn't cut a lot of weight, where Merab is very clearly a 45er making 35. Very clearly. He should have learned from Rener de Ridder. I get the wanting to defend your title 4 times in a year. I get that. But he really did overextend himself. It's hubris. It's Icarus flying too close to the sun. And that's what he did. It's a shame. We got robbed of that. We got robbed of what Merab could have been. Now it doesn't sound like Petr Yan's going to give him a shot for a rubber match. Go back in the jacuzzi, he says in his post-fight interview. Like, I'm almost positive that if Sean O'Malley wins next month against Song Yadong, they're giving O'Malley the title shot again. Right? Terrible. Absolutely terrible. It was weird, too, because, like, Merab's not... He is a dynamic... I was about to say he's not the most dynamic finisher. He's not the most consistent finisher when it comes to takedowns. Merab is I'm going to get you down by volume. I have 100 different tricks, a tool bag, a mile deep, and I'll pull from however long into the tool bag that I need to dig. That's what Merab Dvalishvili does. That's how he breaks people down. As far as I'm concerned, he failed on his takedown attempts. Every single one of them, he failed on. It was crazy to me, because, like, at the end of the fight, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to wrestle. I wanted to come in here and be entertaining. Like, bruh. Like, Jed Mishu said this on Twitter. Like, you still shot 29 takedowns, bro. Like, what are we talking about here? No. You failed your takedown attempts, and then you got desperate and started swinging for the fences, which is exactly what Petr Yan wanted. That's exactly what he wanted. It's crazy. He wants to be entertaining. Whatever, bro. Just take the L like a man. He did tweet like I had the norovirus and a broken hand, which is like a shout out to Alex Perez's excuse not too long ago. But that was pretty funny, and I think Merab's funny. I think he can bounce back, and I do think he can win the title back. You listened to the preview show that me and Miguel Class did for this, and it was like, okay, I can see kind of where this is coming from. Merab is kind of slowing down, but he looked like extra slowing down in the fourth weight cut in the year. And I didn't think Petr Yan had the tools to beat him. Now let's talk about Petr Yan. Actually, I haven't given props to the champ, to the king. The reclamation of the title Petr Yan just snagged was incredible. Absolutely insane. You see the depths of Hades he's brought to. The depths. DQ lost from Aljamain Sterling after he's destroying Aljamain Sterling. Watch that first fight back. Like, Petr Yan is styling on Aljamain Sterling. And then he knees him while he's down. Like, the DQ knee really did derail his career. And then he beats Corey Sandhagen. And then Sterling comes in and wins a very good, very close fight and was ready for him. Okay, great. So Yan's now 1-2. He fights Sean O'Malley. That was that Islam Makhachev beating Charles Oliveira fight card. My daughter was born on that day. I didn't watch that fight live. But he loses to Sean O'Malley, even though a lot of people thought he won in a 3-round fight. Plays into Petr Yan's hands. This is why I think the Sean O'Malley fight's happening, by the way, because of how close that fight was. You put an extra 2 rounds on there, make it a 5-er. Boy, Sean O'Malley's in trouble. And O'Malley's gotten worse since that Petr Yan fight. Like, that's probably the best Sean O'Malley has ever been, was in that Petr Yan fight. That's why they're going to book that back. Let's squeeze a little bit of juice out of Sean O'Malley while we can. Let's squeeze a little bit of it. See if we can make Petr Yan a little bit more of a star before we feed him to Umar or to Merab again for the trilogy, which they should do. More on that later. But that DQ, and then he fights Merab, and this is like the absolute lowest of his career. Like, think about how low Petr Yan was after those 3 losses, 4 in his last 5. He had lost to Aljamain Sterling, the champion, Sean O'Malley, the next champion, and then Merab Dvalishvili ragdolls him for 5 rounds. And I mean, I remember very vividly looking at Petr Yan's face of like, holy crap, I'm drowning in here. I remember that look on his face. I remember how desperate he looked to get out of that fight with Merab Dvalishvili. He wanted out. And by God, he almost got out. But that moment was like the lowest for him. He had lost his title like the only time someone's ever been DQ'd to lose their title, because you lost your title because you cheated. And Petr Yan cheats all the time. All the time he cheats. But that's okay. He was like ready to bounce back, He comes back to a year later after that Merab loss, beats Song Yadong. Okay. Good win, Petr Yan. Now, we're trying to get Song up there, but you showed you're still him. Comes back and, let's see how you do against a Davison Figueiredo. Former lightweight champion, or light flyweight champion, I'm sorry. Former flyweight champion. He really wants a shot at the top. Okay, we'll see how you do. Oh, you won. Nice. Marcus McGee, this guy's a banger. Let's get him in there. Petr Yan destroys him. All right, well, I mean, Merab's done lap the division. Why don't we start with the first one? Petr Yan. That's where he's back. Petr Yan wins the title. Oh, I didn't think he was going to be the one to do it, but his game plan was nearly perfect. To beat Merab, you got to take away his number one weapon. That wrestling, that pace, that cardio. He took that away. How did he do it? The body kicks, obviously, were one thing. The cardio. Running to the fence and sticking your head into the fence to fight. The takedowns is another. He made sure to like, okay, I need to be able to wall walk. Merab is going to try and trip me up against the wall, but I had my best success against the wall. I will have better success there. Merab couldn't take him down. Merab couldn't take someone down not named Jose Aldo. Wow. Then he counter wrestled him. Like, oh, now you got to worry about the takedowns. That's another thing, Merab. So now that Merab can't take you down, he's getting kicked in the body. He has to try and knock you out, right? Great for Petr Yan. I mean, great for him. Please, for the love of God, try to knock me out like everybody else. Plays right into Petr Yan's hand. Now, he had to keep him at range too, in the center of the cage. So if you're going to go to the center of the cage with me, it's not going to be easy to get in on my hips. And it was really like a stiff jab from both southpaw and orthodox. Just boom. Just right in his face. Boom. Or the long guard like he likes to use. He didn't do his fingers. He had the long guard with the fist sticking in his face, especially early on. He kicks the legs early on. Gets the mobility kind of compromised. He starts oblique kicking the legs, something me and Miguel Class talked about in our preview episode. It was masterful how he just kept Merab at bay. A lot of the stuff too, like against the fence, I saw a lot of like Jack Della Maddalena. And this made me so happy because everybody likes to hate on Jack Della now that he's lost to Islam Makhachev, probably a top 5 fighter all time. But there's things to learn from him against wrestlers. And he does good things against not Islam, against Bilal. For example, he has this high guard, right? So he down blocks with his arms. That's great. Like when Merab shoots in, he's boom, meeting him down there with the arms, pushing him off. When Merab gets him to the fence, he, just like Jack Della, digs both hands on one side, goes 2-on-1 with one hand, and prevents you from locking your hands. If Merab's not going to lock his hands, he can't get the takedown. Can't get the trips off the fence he wants. He also did the little hip toss like threat that Jack Della did against Bilal a couple times. Like, he did that too. The performance from Petr Yan was a perfect storm of this is how you beat Merab with all the body shots. You know, hit him in the body when Merab's trying to clinch. Like, you don't want to clinch you, I'm going to punish you. Pop, pop, pop. Same thing Dustin Poirier did to Islam Makhachev. So if you can, hey, you don't want to clinch with me while I can hit you. It's going to be hard for you to get a hold of me in the cage. Now you got to wrestle me against the fence. And this is where I'm most prepared. Dig, underhook, same side, and pull it up. You can't go 2-on-1. It's kind of cool. Very, 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 very inspiring performance from Petr Yan. I do think he's regressing as a fighter. I don't think he's getting better, but he's still smart. And Petr Yan has always been smart. And everybody wanted to laugh and poo-poo on Petr Yan for losing to Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, and Merab Dvalishvili. Champion, champion, champion. Look at that. I mean, and now he comes back and literally defeats the literal bantamweight GOAT. He comes back, he beats like an Umar. Who's to say he can't be the GOAT, you know? He's got wins over Sandhagen. He's got a win over Aldo. Merab now. Davison Figueiredo as a champion. He beats Sean O'Malley. Like, who's to say Petr Yan wouldn't be the GOAT? Or can't be in 3 fights' time. That's how great bantamweight is. That's how great. So what's next for Petr Yan, man? Like, I think it's fairly obvious that it needs to be Merab Dvalishvili. Like, I think that's the clear cut. They're 1-1. The first 2 fights, both of the first 2 fights were very, very one-sided, and that tends to lend to a third fight being very, very close. Think Thrilla and Manila, you know, like those kind of trilogies. I need it. That's the obvious next choice. But Petr Yan doesn't sound like he wants to fight Merab Dvalishvili. Doesn't sound like it at all. And that sucks. Umar's out there. Umar fighting Davison Figueiredo coming up. I like that fight. If Umar beats him, or if Figgy beats him, you can rematch Figueiredo, which was not a close fight at all. Sean O'Malley's the one that I think is going to end up getting it if he beats Song Yadong. And they fight on the next pay-per-view. Put your money on it. Bet it. Call the bookie. Whatever you need to do. Kalshi, whatever you're doing, right? If you're a gambling guy, I'm not a gambling guy, so I won't be doing it. But bet the house that Petr Yan and Sean O'Malley rematch. It is tantalizing to have another Sean O'Malley title shot. Can he be champion again? Like, oh God, he's champion again and he has to fight Merab again? Can you imagine how much, like, oh, that sucks. That would suck. It was crazy. I think those are the fights to make. And, you know, congratulations to Petr Yan on the day. He won the title. He is the best bantamweight in the world in a division where we were getting to the point where, all right, now this division's kind of fallen off. It's not quite as good as it was 2 years ago because Merab's done lapped the division. Like, dominant champions make for boring divisions. Look at Israel Adesanya, Anderson Silva. Look at John Jones, you know. Long range, Demetrius Johnson at flyweight. Anytime a champion rules a long time, the division is boring. So it's great that we see a new champion from the past. Congratulations, Petr Yan. You did the thing. You deserve the victory lap. You are the king. Now, Joshua Venn and Alexandre Pantoja was the most gruesome finish ever since, you know, Chris Weidman broke his leg against Uriah Hall. And before that, it was Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade. And before that, it was Anderson Silva breaking his leg against Chris Weidman. It was gruesome. Oh, my gosh. Or Jacare breaking. Y'all remember Jacare breaking his arm? Oh. Guys, I mean, it was one of the nastiest things I've ever seen. Joshua Venn, 26 seconds into this fight. Everybody thought it was an arm break. So Pantoja kicks high, Venn catches it on the shoulder and begins to dump him, push him up and dump him. And I'm going to put a graphic right here. This is what happens to Alexandre Pantoja. The way he falls on his arm, dislocates his elbow. I mean, I'm not going to show a picture of it because it's that, oh my gosh, that gruesome, right? It's so bad. But 26 seconds, elbow dislocation, and that's how the reign of Alexandre Pantoja ends. I think he'll be back. You know, they're talking about a 1 to 3 week recovery time. I don't know about that. But Pantoja's reign ends in the worst way possible. Everybody was starting to talk about, like, they were starting to have real momentum pushing up for, oh, he might be the actual flyweight GOAT over Demetrius Johnson, like a Mount Rushmore fighter. Can you think of a worse way for this to end? That was shaping up to be, I mean, it's on, people were like, oh, this was shaping up to be a good fight. It was, the first few seconds were a good brawling fight, but who's to say, like, Pantoja wouldn't have gotten a hold of him, got him down, and backpacked him, like, he does, you know? Who's to say that wouldn't have happened? But in the 26 seconds, we really didn't learn anything. Except that Pantoja's elbow is probably toast. It's going to be hard to punch with that thing now without dislocating it or something. Like, it really was, you know, oh, it was bad. And then you got Joshua Venn doubling down, like, yeah, I won the title. And to be fair, Pantoja went on record and said, yes, he won. The only way he could win it is me getting injured. But he won and he is the champion. That's what happened. And that's the case. You know, hey, now Joshua Vann's the champion. Second youngest in UFC history, by the way, behind the one and only John Bones Jones. But him doubling down is going to make him into like this villain character. But it's weird because people like Joshua Venn too much and he's too fun of a fighter. I don't think he'll be the villain for long. And I don't think he fights Pantoja next. And if you want to be truthful, he did cause that injury. Think about like Corey Sandhagen shredding Figueiredo's knee. Now, this isn't quite that necessarily. Like he did fall on it wrong, but Joshua Venn lifted the leg and caused him to tip over. Caused him to land on his arm wrong. I saw some people say it should be a no contest, but for the simple fact that he fell on it wrong because of the tip over, you got to say Joshua Venn won. It really sucks that the title changed hands this way. Like, we just got done talking about Petr Yan's downfall. It really sucks that the title changed hands this way. But this is the nature of the beast. You know, sometimes weird things like this happen. Sometimes you need a downed opponent. Sometimes your opponent dislocates their elbow. I have the hard time hating on Joshua Venn for how he reacted to this. Because, like, he's the champion now. He's the king. He gets the pay-per-view points. despite being a flyweight. Like, he really does have the makings to be a star. The dude's incredible. He's so entertaining. And if you want to be a star, the number one way to look at like Alex Pereira, Anderson Silva, John Jones. These guys entertain. These Conor McGregor, like these superstars entertain. Joshua Van can entertain you. And I think Pantoja's going to be out for a while. So like, when you look at what's next for Joshua Van, you know, there's Tatsuro Taira, who we're going to talk about next. There's, you know, Brandon Royval. They could run that back. 5 rounds this time. Like, give it to me, right? It's really not. Pantoja's the one to make, obviously. You got to give him the respect he deserves. But at the end of the day, you know, Taira is the one that beat Brandon Moreno. They could run the Royval fight back. I don't think they will. Yeah. It's got to be Tatsuro Taira if it's not Pantoja. That's your 2 options. Brandon Royval fights next weekend against Manel Kopp. So if he wins or if Kopp wins, you can run that. That's your 3 options. There's really no other options, really, if you want to know the truth. But with those options, you got to welcome the new blood, Tatsuro Taira. Wow. 25 years old. This kid is crazy. Japanese guy. He is a wrestler. Got some really good jiu-jitsu. And he took on Brandon Moreno. Now, Brandon Moreno is a tough fighter. Very tough fighter. You know, 2-time champion. Beloved by the fans. Like, anytime they show him or they're announcing him or anytime he's on the camera, like, there's a pop for him. Like, I talked about entertaining and being a star. Brandon Moreno is that. He's a star inside and outside of the ring. This kid is special. And for you to go out there and beat him is a huge statement. Brandon Royval had that huge statement. It sucks how the fight ended, though. Like, let's be real here. Let's level up for a second. Taira was, all right. So first things first, I have no problem with the stoppage from Tatsuro Taira. I have no problem. Like, Moreno was covered up, back mounted, flattened out, and Taira's punching him, boom, 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 boom. And if you're just covering up, what's the ref supposed to do? Let you get more punishment? Let you take more brain damage? No. He made the right call there. He made the right call. Now, I've got no problem with it. Moreno does, obviously, but he wasn't intelligent. He wasn't intelligently or stupidly defending himself. He just wasn't defending himself. I guess covering up's defending yourself technically, you know, but that's neither here nor there. When I look at that, I see someone who doesn't want to fight anymore. He's like, I have no idea what to do when I get out of here. And if you've ever been like rolling or grappling, you're put in a bad situation. It's like, man, there's nothing I can do here. You know, Taira just had checkmate. And it was either, I lose, you tap, or someone saves you. The ref saved him. Or take damages to the back of the head, and hopefully you get a DQ and a little bit of brain damage, not a lot. So, you know, it's crazy too, because Brandon Moreno really never got going in this fight. You know, he's a very flowy guy. And once he starts making his reads, he kind of gets some real wide loopy punches. I didn't think Taira was going to pose that much of a threat, especially after the first round. You know, he's so flowy, even like on the scramble that they had in the first round where he floated his hips real well and ended up in the triangle position. He held onto the triangle for too long, so he couldn't, you know, work anything else. And that was really it for him, you know? It was crazy. Mark Smith's like, hey, you got to advance. Like, he's almost there. He's like almost advanced, and he's got a locked in triangle. Joe Rogan brought that up. He's like, that's ridiculous. And that was pretty ridiculous. But, you know, it was really cool, but Tatsuro Taira never let him get going. Early shot, you know, once he got to the legs and got the takedown, it's with these guys like Brandon Moreno, you'll see the Dagestanis do it, and like Japanese wrestling is very good too. It's position over submission, and if you can't control them, you can't submit them. And that's what Tatsuro Taira messed up in the first round and got right in the second round. And once he got the position, once he got the back mount, that's all he needed. Started beating him down. It was only a matter of time. Now, obviously, Tatsuro Taira and Joshua Van is an interesting fight. It's one that I plan on watching, just like every other fight, guys. Like, yeah, you know, I'm with this stuff. Taira struggled when he couldn't take and keep Brandon Royval down, and it's very evident that he took that to heart. And while Moreno had success in the first round in the scramble, in the second round, Taira was like, all right, let's revert back to what we've worked on and what we've improved upon, and holding him down. Joshua Van's a very tough fighter to get down. Very tough, very strong. And if you can't get him down, you're going to lose the fight. Like, you're not outstriking Joshua Van unless you're Charles Johnson. Shout out Charles Johnson. It's just, when I look at this fight and when I think about it, it's tantalizing. It's one of those strikers versus wrestler matchups, the old school UFCs that we all love. He looked improved. Tatsuro Taira looked improved against Brandon Moreno, but I really didn't learn much. You know, I'd like to see him not let Brandon Moreno off the hook, or Brandon Moreno let him off the hook. You know, Brandon, you gotta get to a hip. Start to shrimp out. You know, get out of the situation. Don't just cover up. I mean, you covering up and eating 5, 6, 7 unanswered shots. It's just begging the ref, please save me. Brandon Moreno was begging to be saved. He may not have been consciously doing it, but his actions said, please save me. And that's what happens. When you beg for Savior, the Savior comes. Like Jesus Christ, the Savior comes and saves you for your sins. Except this time it's the referee, Mark Smith, saving him from brain damage from Tatsuro Taira ground and pound in the back of his head in. He's improved. Count me in if they want to do it. I think Dana White mentioned something about in Japan. That would be sick. Maybe a fight night with a title shot on it with the Paramount era. Maybe let's go. Let's go. I'm in. Count me in. Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira, wrestler versus striker. Yes, please. That's all I want. Give it to me. Give me the fun matchups. That's a fun matchup. Now, Payton Talbott is the new boogeyman of 135. I mean, he just retired Henry Cejudo, which Henry Cejudo was already doing that, but Payton Talbott just said, just in case you were kind of doubting it and thought, oh, you might be able to hang with these young guys, you can't, because I am him. Hoo-hoo! Insanely good. Everybody wanted to poo-poo on Payton Talbott after that loss to Moreno Barcelos, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, Barcelos is a tough fight for anybody. He's a good boxer. He's a tricky boxer. He's a really good grappler. This isn't the type of guy you want to fool around with because he's crafty. Henry Cejudo is way craftier of a fighter than Moreno Barcelos. Way craftier. And I thought Payton Talbott looked better in his follow-up fight to that Barcelos loss, his only career loss. I thought he looked better in the Felipe Lima fight. But this just showed me the exact heights this kid can achieve. Oh my gosh, his speed, insane. His angles, insane. He kept Cejudo missing. I mean, there was nothing in this game that was lacking from Payton Talbott. He's a striker. A striker, and he out-wrestled Olympic gold medalist Henry Cejudo. That's incredible. Even if Cejudo was like 1 foot out the door, hasn't really wrestled in forever. Like, even after all that, I'm still like, that's crazy. That's impressive. Where do I watch more of you? Because when do I watch more of you? Because I need it. What's even crazier, this is what most impressed me, I think. Henry Cejudo's signature move is the inside trip, right? He'll get to a body lock and he'll step deep and trip people from the inside. Something I think I want to work on in the gym, but I don't get to a body lock that often because they're like, hey, you're too giant. I'm not going to let you get to it. But I'm going to get there. You know, he'll do it from double unders mostly. Payton Talbott got him with his signature move. And then he stuck his tongue out like, I did it. Like, Payton Talbott knew what he was doing there, which is what's even crazier. Like, that's awesome. You identify what Cejudo, not they trained together. I'm sure he picked up the inside trip from Cejudo. So, you know, props to him, though. That was awesome. It's one of my favorite parts. You know, it seems like that Moreno Barcelos loss, though, is a distant memory for Payton Talbott, though. No. Like, that was forever ago. That's a totally different person. It's a totally different Payton Talbott. And like that's just 3 fights ago. Henry Cejudo, Felipe Lima, and Barcelos. That's just 3 fights ago. And now we're looking at somebody that's like one of the best bantamweights in the world that nobody's going to want to fight. It's the same problem Barcelos had coming up. Except I think Payton Talbott's ceiling is way higher. It's crazy. Now, Henry Cejudo, man, he retired. His legacy was awesome, bro. A double champion, Olympic champion. That's where the nickname Triple C comes from. But him retiring early absolutely kills it for people. 135, he was a champion over that, right? He beat Dominic Cruz, who was not a deserving title contender. It was Jose Aldo. 135 got very interesting right after he left. That's when Petr Yan took over. He knocked out Jose Aldo in the 4th, 5th round. Aljamain Sterling came around. Then you had Corey Sandhagen, Sean O'Malley. Umar Nurmagomedov's rise. These are all potential matchups we could have seen Cejudo take on Merab. Oh, wait, we saw that. These are all potential matchups we could have seen Cejudo in. But the fact that he retired and quit in the middle of all that and decided to come back later tells us that he really wasn't about it anymore, and his heart never really was in it this time back. And it shows, with his results, it shows. I think he's always going to be a what if with the fans, though. I don't think his legacy will be viewed as rosy as it should be because of what he's accomplished, He's like an Alex Pereira type fighter, or Holly Holm. Like, as much as we like to poo-poo on Holly Holm, like, she is a boxing world champion, Hall of Famer, and a UFC champion. She didn't quite get the double champ status, but still, he'll always be a what if in his career. And it sucks because, like, his height was so good. He was so good, knocking out TJ Dillashaw, defeating Demetrius Johnson. Marlon Moraes was like a boogeyman nobody wanted to fight, and he knocks him out. Always going to be a what if. But Payton Talbott, that's the real star of this. Beating an Olympic champion. Like, I get, like, Cejudo's older and retired. And you watch the highlight package of him after the fight, and it's like, okay, yeah, he didn't fight that Henry Cejudo. That one might have beat him. But, like, I'm looking at the rankings here, and, like, I don't see anybody that gives him a hard time up until you get to, like, the echelon of the division. Like, look at the bantamweight rankings, right? So you've got Cejudo here at 10. I don't think Batista beats him. Chito Vera, absolutely not. You got David Martinez, Rob Font. Lockdog, maybe. That'd be an interesting one. Marcus McGee, no. Eamon Zahabi, no. Davison Figueiredo, probably not. He's old, Song Yadong, no. Corey Sandhagen, Petr Yan, Sean O'Malley, Umar, and Merab. That's the 5 I think give him trouble right now. That's the 5. And if anybody can give him trouble, it's going to have to be an elite fighter. So let's put him in against Eamon Zahabi or Chito Vera. Let's see just how good this kid is. Because if he's as good as we think, we've got something special on our hands. We've got a Joshua Van on our hands, or a John Jones without the crime on our hands. Oh, man, yes, what a night of fights. What else happened here, fellas? Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov ended in a majority draw after Guskov dropped him in the second round. Interesting, Jan Blachowicz, I believe that's, 2 draws in a row for him? I don't remember, actually. No. Oh, my gosh. Lost to Ulberg, Pereira, Ankalaev. Oh, my. It's just been a horribly terrible run for him. Bogdan Guskov, unfortunately, his run is halted for a second here after losing to Volkan Ozdemir in his debut. He's 4-0-1 now. So, that's crazy. Manuel Torres, oh my gosh, knocks out Grant Dawson, streaking Grant Dawson, one of the better fighters I thought in the division. One of the bigger problems because his ground and pound's so good. I know there's a lot of Grant Dawson haters out there, but you guys can hate. I don't care. Just a huge uppercut and ground and pound. Just put Dawson out. Chris Duncan survived the onslaught of Terrence McKinney in one of the most exciting one-round fights I've ever seen. That was great. Macy Barber and Karine Silva. There's something I don't like about Macy Barber, y'all, honestly. she's a good fighter, you know. She's not the best in the world, but she's a good fighter. You know, got up kicked. It really sucked and kind of put a damper on her performance, but she still got out there and got the win. Faraziem knocks out Nazim Sadikov. Everybody was excited about that. Bruno Silva and Marvin Vettori. Jalen Turner knocks out Edson Barboza. How old is Barboza now? Because he's just ancient now. Yeah, 39, bro. It's time, man. One more. Let's do one more in Brazil and get you there. Iwo Baranowski. I still can't say that name. And Ibo Aslan sucked. That was a psychotic fight. I say it sucks because it was just like a slugfest. I like more like tactful type fights, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. But that was an exciting first round. You know, they kind of slugged it out with each other. Mansour Abdul Malik defeated Antonio Tricoli. I don't think Tricoli's very good, so good one for Mansour. And despite losing or missing weight, Marian Santos defeats Muhammad Naimov with a nice jab cross in round 3 to start off the night. So that's the last pay-per-view you ever have to buy. Oh, I say that. They'll probably like do special pay-per-views, but that's the last important pay-per-view you have to buy. For now. We're moving over to the Paramount era, baby. We got one more ESPN card. We can call it a day on that, but no more pay-per-views, no more streamies. I mean, no more putting in your credit card information for ESPN. Just give it to Paramount now, you know. I'm not going to go there. Yeah, the fights were great, man. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. Petr Yan's the champion again. Pantoja was gruesome. That was the least fun part of the night, just because I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit thinking about it again. Overall, though, UFC 323 ends the ESPN era the same way it started. Crazy. Remember, the first ESPN card was Henry Cejudo and TJ Dillashaw. The execution of the flyweight division, except Cejudo knocks him out. TJ gets caught on EPO. It's over. No more pay-per-view. You know what else isn't pay-per-view? Fight Finders. You knew I was coming with this, guys. Fight Finders. I've got some vacation time at my regular job scheduled, and I will be going to do some filming in New Orleans to hopefully get a lot more of this episode done. This is like my most ambitious one yet, and if I can do a good job on this, I think more history episodes are in the works. I got a feeling that this one's going to be super fun and super intriguing. This series is my baby. It's the whole reason we do this channel, so I can go and make cool videos like this for you guys.